Artificial intelligence did not create cybercrime. What it has done is fundamentally change the speed, scale, and efficiency with which cybercrime operates. To understand cybersecurity in the AI age, it is important to remove two common misconceptions. The first is that AI is a completely new threat that replaces human attackers. The second is that AI is an autonomous force acting independently of human intent. Neither is accurate. AI is best understood as a force multiplier. It amplifies existing behaviors. It reduces friction. It lowers cost. And it allows attackers to act on familiar incentives far more effectively than before. The motivations behind cybercrime have not changed. What has changed is how easily those motivations can now be executed. Before AI, friction as a natural defense. In earlier periods of cybercrime, many attacks failed not because defenses were perfect, but because effort was required. Writing convincing messages took time and language skill. Researching targets required manual work. Customizing attacks for different contexts demanded attention and expertise. These forms of friction naturally limited scale. Attackers had to make trade offs. They could attempt a small number of high quality attacks or a large number of low quality ones. Quality and quantity were rarely available at the same time. That friction acted as an informal defensive layer. Artificial intelligence has removed much of it. Generative AI and the end of obvious attacks. One of the most visible impacts of AI is in content generation. Generative AI systems can produce large volumes of text that is fluent, coherent, and contextually appropriate. They can adapt tone, vocabulary, and style with minimal effort. They can mimic professional communication, internal messaging, or authority driven language. This has eliminated many of the traditional cues people relied on to identify malicious activity. Poor grammar, awkward phrasing, generic language. These were never fundamental indicators of malicious intent. They were artifacts of attacker limitations. AI has largely removed those limitations. As a result, malicious messages increasingly resemble legitimate ones. They align with expectations. They fit naturally into existing workflows. They no longer rely on deception that feels obvious. This does not mean people have become careless. It means normal behavior has become exploitable. Scale without degradation. Another critical shift introduced by AI is the ability to operate at scale without losing quality. Previously, scaling attacks almost always reduced effectiveness. Templates became generic, errors increased, responses dropped. AI reverses that relationship. Attackers can generate thousands of variations, test which ones perform best, discard what fails, and refine what succeeds. This feedback loop is fast, automated, and continuous. From an economic perspective, this is optimization. Attackers are no longer guessing what works, they are measuring it. This dramatically increases the volume of attempts while maintaining a high success rate. Even if individual attempts fail, aggregate success rises. Automated reconnaissance and contextual awareness. AI also transforms how attackers gather information. Publicly available data, websites, documents, profiles, postings, metadata can be analyzed at scale. Patterns can be inferred. Relationships can be mapped. Organizational structures can be approximated. This enables attacks that align closely with real processes. Messages reference relevant context. Requests appear plausible. Timing aligns with expected activity. This reduces suspicion and increases credibility. Importantly, this reconnaissance does not require privileged access. It relies on information that is often intentionally public. AI does not invent new data, it connects existing data more efficiently, lowering the barrier to entry. One of the most consequential effects of AI is that it lowers the barrier to participation. Tasks that once required experience or technical depth can now be abstracted away. Interfaces become simpler. Complexity is hidden behind prompts and automation. This does not eliminate skilled attackers, it expands the pool of capable ones. More people can attempt attacks, more variations appear, more noise is generated, and even if most attempts fail, some will succeed. This increases background risk across all digital environments. Cybersecurity is no longer primarily about defending against a small number of highly skilled adversaries. It is about managing exposure in a world where moderate capability at scale is sufficient. AI and malware adaptation. Beyond communication and reconnaissance, AI influences how malicious tools evolve. Attackers can use AI assisted systems to modify code, test variations, and adapt behavior to evade detection. This does not mean malware is thinking, it means iteration has become faster. Defensive systems often rely on recognizing patterns, signatures, behaviors, known indicators. When attackers can generate endless variations, cheaply static detection becomes less reliable. Detection shifts from certainty to probability. This does not eliminate defense, it changes its nature. Systems must be adaptive. Controls must assume change rather than stability. Speed as a strategic advantage. Speed is one of the most underappreciated consequences of AI. AI compresses the time between idea and execution. New techniques can be tested quickly. Responses to failure can be immediate. Adjustments can be continuous. For defenders, this shortens response windows. Controls that rely on delayed review, manual oversight, or periodic assessment struggle in high speed environments. By the time a pattern is recognized, the activity may already have moved on. This does not mean humans are obsolete. It means human intervention must be designed into the system deliberately, not relied upon reactively. AI does not replace human intent. It is important to emphasize this clearly. AI does not replace human attackers. Humans still define objectives. Humans decide what success looks like. Humans choose when to escalate, pivot, or stop. AI executes tasks most efficiently, but it does not set goals. This matters because it means cyber risk remains fundamentally human driven. AI amplifies intent, it does not originate it. This distinction prevents both panic and complacency. AI is powerful, but it is not autonomous in the way popular narratives often suggest. Defensive AI and the arms dynamic. Defenders also use AI. Machine learning is applied to anomaly detection, pattern recognition, and behavioral analysis. AI helps identify activity that would be invisible at human scale. However, this creates an adaptive cycle, not a resolution. Attackers probe defenses, defenders adjust models, attackers adapt behavior, defenders retrain systems. The cycle continues. AI accelerates this dynamic on both sides. There is no final equilibrium, there is only adaptation. This is why cybersecurity in the AI age must be approached as a continuous capability, not a static solution. Shifting the human role. As AI takes on more analytical and operational tasks, the role of humans changes. Humans are no longer primarily responsible for spotting obvious threats. They are responsible for judgment, verification, and decision making under uncertainty. This is a more demanding role. It requires understanding context, incentives, and consequences. It requires resisting automation bias, the tendency to trust outputs simply because they are produced by systems, and it requires accountability. AI can assist decision making, it cannot replace responsibility. Why this matters across all sectors. The ethics described here apply regardless of industry. Any organization that relies on digital systems, identity, data, or continuity is affected by AI accelerated cyber risk. The specifics may differ, but the underlying dynamics do not. AI increases volume, AI reduces friction, AI compresses time, AI amplifies human behavior. These are structural changes, not temporary trends. Understanding AI as a force multiplier allows you to reason clearly about cyber risk without exaggeration or dismissal. It helps you anticipate why attacks feel more frequent, more convincing, and harder to distinguish from legitimate activity. The perspective going forward. The purpose of this section is not to create alarm, it is to create clarity. AI does not make cybersecurity hopeless, it makes it more demanding. It raises the importance of governance, oversight, and design choices. It also reinforces a theme that will recur throughout this course. Cybersecurity is not about stopping all attacks, it is about operating responsibly in an environment where adaptation is constant. AI has accelerated that environment. Understanding how and why is essential.